Hi everyone. I am going to be getting ready today, so it is slightly different. And I'm going to be talking about something that sort of, I wouldn't say occurred to me, but something that I've been thinking about. And recently I read a book called Yesteryear by Clara Caro Burke, I think. And for those who don't know, that book is about tradwifes. And how best to put it? I've been seeing a lot of tradwife content. I've been receiving a lot of tradwife content on social media because of the fact that I am married and I have a child myself. So naturally, I am starting to get a lot of American tradwife content, homemaking, homeschooling, etc., etc. And I'm in this very, very unique position at the moment where I am, in fact, a stay-at-home mom, but not because I don't want to work, it's because my child is very small and I'm essentially on maternity leave. So I think I would have an interesting take on the whole tradwife thing. But to not sound kind of biased, I think I decided to read a couple other books, and I read two other books about said topic and all three of them actually have been released this year, and the other two are called Tradwife, both of them called Tradwife basically, by different authors that I'm just gonna put here. And it's a lot. It's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to think about. First and foremost, I would categorize all of them, including Yesteryear, to be fair, as kind of thriller horror books, which speaks volumes if you think about it. It really, really speaks volumes about what what kind of lifestyle it really is, because as much as it looks nice and beautiful, and if you are one of those people who follow tradwife influencers, tradwife, not all of them are actual tradwives, but they are marketed, I suppose, or pushed as tradwives, but um it's what they show is very often like a glorified version of what it means to be essentially a stay-at-home mom. Um, and the same goes with anything else, really, especially if they are pretty big people on social media, and if they're big enough that they have a couple thousand following, and not just that, but also they have partnerships and they essentially earn money from ads. So at that point, can you really call them tradwives? Because they are, in fact, working. That's their job, being an influencer. So reading these books just kind of made me think about it even more, because all three of them essentially are about this phenomenon. A tradwife who is an influencer and posts her stuff on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, specifically more Instagram, I would say, because it does cater more towards women. And how it all goes wrong, and how all like other people start seeing the cracks in the facade, which, if I'm being honest, I don't really think they're actually cracks. It's just like, that's just how it is. And if nothing else, then these books do teach us that what you see on social media, yet again, is not real life. It's something that somebody wants for you to see. What you see from anyone, in fact, is what they want for you to see. I put that up on YouTube, and they kind of cater it to the type of people that they want to watch. Even me. Look at me. Sure, I'm getting ready right now. I'm putting on makeup because I need to take some pictures later. But I don't look like this all the time. I don't. Um, I have my hair in a bun. I don't even use makeup most of the time. And I don't really wear nice clothes because I'm at home with a child all the time that constantly makes himself dirty, everything else around himself dirty, and me dirty. So why would I wear my best dress just to stay in like the living room or be in the kitchen? Of course I don't. Of course I fucking don't. But if there's one thing, then social media, even if you don't want to cater to anyone, even if you want to be authentic self, etc., etc., if you're not going to have some sort of visual aesthetic, very often people are just going to ignore you. They're just not gonna. They're not gonna find your content interesting or appealing or just like something that they would want to keep watching. Even if we keep saying the opposite, social media is like where we try and find some inspiration, where we try to spend some time and actually enjoy looking at pretty things. So no wonder that most of us prefer seeing someone who looks perfect all the time and has very aesthetically pleasing videos in every way possible. So, and of course, if you're conventionally attractive, that's a bigger plus for you, essentially. So, going back to Yesteryear, I'm going to be honest with you, I love the book. I know a lot of people say it's not a great book, that they disliked it, but I think it's great because it teaches you quite a lot of things. First of all, it's been such a long time since I've read a book where the main character is so unreliable as a narrator. You want to believe them, you want to kind of, feel for them, but in reality, like, they're just not it. They're just playing you, basically. They are trying to tell you how they see things, but they're saying them in such a way where even if they do something wrong, you don't want to blame them. You want to blame other people, which just isn't right. And I really enjoyed it. I like books like that make me think, that make me question things, and the books that I can put down and I have to just kind of have like stare at a wall for like 15 minutes afterwards. Those are the type of books that kind of, are engraved in your memory, that you will forever remember as something that has changed something in you. And I love that. So, as for the other two books, both of them called Tradwife, those two are more horror, I would say, than Yesteryear. And I don't know, I liked the revenge in a way, but also it's just, I suppose it's hard to see women suffering. Even with Yesteryear, it's just really, really hard to accept when somebody wants this certain type of life and what they get is people who betray them, people who try to benefit from their pain. And I don't know, it makes me feel like the biggest feminist on the world. Well, maybe because I would say that I'm probably I'm as close as one can get, to be fair, to essentially being a tradwife. I do all of those things. I cook, I clean, I take care of the child, I take care of other things. And but the difference is I don't do it alone. I don't do everything completely alone. And I'm not trying to position myself as somebody who is a tradwife. I still like to work. I still like to do things on the side like this, for example. And I still have people helping me out. I have my village. I don't do everything alone, because if I did, I'd probably go crazy. Because having children is a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and you need a lot of energy. And very often, all you want to do is just sit in the corner and do nothing. You want to lie in bed, read a book, and do nothing, which I unfortunately cannot do. So the only times I can read is when either the child is asleep, or essentially when he's asleep. So that is something that I think why these books have made me want to talk about this topic, generally speaking. I am on search to find more of tradwife type of books, because it's just such an interesting type of books, but I am pretty sure that all of the ones that I would find are horror or thriller. And in some way, it makes sense, because most of them, I think, are written by women, and they think of it as something that is just like the worst, like, nightmare hellscape, essentially. Which, personally, it also sounds like a nightmare hellscape. But that is because I've never strived to be a tradwife. There are women out there who love being stay-at-home moms, who love doing all those things, who love having many children and taking care of the house and gardening and taking care of the husband, and all of that is nice and good if they like it. And if they're not doing it on their own, and if they're not expected to be perfect, because that is a really, really, really big amount of work to take on. I'm gonna be honest. And even some of the ones, because I personally follow some tradwives that I don't think they're toxic. Some of them are actually okay. And from what I can see is, despite the fact that they are doing a lot of things on their own, they have husbands that help. They have mums, they have sisters, they have sometimes nannies that help. And even if they don't, they have created the schedule where just, if they stick to it, it works, you know? And if that's what works for them, good. Absolutely good. I think they should be doing that. They should be committing to that. And they should be around people. There is something to be said about the work you put in to be a mum. The work you put in to be like a stay-at-home mom, especially. But also, once the kids are grown, what are you gonna do? I think a lot of people forget that at the end of the day, what everybody goes for is a choice. And that is what people need to have, a choice. So even if people like, I don't know, the famous ballerina farms, if anybody knows about that, decides to have 9 children and move to the middle of nowhere in Utah, it's ultimately a choice. Whether or not it is like a religious choice, it's still a choice. Yeah, sure, you may be encouraged to do certain things if you're religious, but even then, it's your choice. So, influence is a thing, of course. I'm not going to deny that. And very often people like that are influenced by their families or friends or anyone who's close to them. And it's not always the best choice, of course. But that is what they choose. So I think if I wanted to mention a very specific reason, I would probably go back to an article that was published some time ago in, I think, New York Times. I personally haven't read it, but I know that it was a bit controversial. Well, a lot. It was an interview with the woman from the ballerina farms. And the journalist who interviewed her basically asked her how does she like this life, etc., etc. And the way she wrote this article made Hannah Nealman, the co-owner of the ballerina farms, look like a woman who's struggling, whose husband is like a despot, and basically she's abused, etc., etc. And here's the thing: nobody really knows. Like, nobody knows what is actually going on behind the closed doors. Only they know. What the internet knows is what they show us. We know what they show us, and very often it is, yeah, very tradwife TM content, which is fine. That's what they choose. That's their branding. Like, they literally farmers. They sell produce. They sell meats and flour and whatever. But that is kind of what they do. That's the whole thing. And yeah, sure, she has 9 children now, and she's an ex-Juilliard ballet student. And yeah, maybe if she wouldn't have chosen to be a wife and a mother of 9 kids and live on a farm, she would have been a very famous ballerina. But also, she said yes, and she chose to get married and have that many kids. So even if she does regret it, what can she do about it? She can divorce, but a lot of those things are very messy. And if she hasn't done it so far, maybe she doesn't want to leave. Maybe she's actually happy, despite the fact that people believe she's not. Maybe she is, who knows? It definitely does seem like an extremely hard work, so the mention of her basically sometimes just like kind of losing it and like being in bed for a week straight because she's so like exhausted contributes to that like idea that maybe she hates it, but not necessarily. She's a businesswoman. I think people forget that because what she does is she's marketing these things to people. She's literally a co-owner of a business. She is working. She can't be called a trad wife. Same with any other influencer that we see out there. The real TM trad wives are the women that we don't see. We don't see on social media. We don't really have them advertising a vacuum or a cast iron pot because they're not working. They're not influencers. Influencers are basically people who work. So it's yeah. And Yesteryear just kind of proved it to me that it's exactly that. And a lot of it is really a choice. It's a choice. Sometimes it's a poor choice and the people regret it, but they realize that they're in this situation now and there's very little they can do. And even if they could, it would be so messy that they choose to go the route they've always gone with. Like, I am married, I have a bunch of kids, and I'm just going to continue my life the way it is because I have made a choice that I regret now. But that is on them. That's not something you can take away from them. You can't change something that has already happened, essentially. At least not like that. So it's definitely easier for those that think that if they will come out and say something that this isn't real, this is fake, etc., etc., that it will make everything, better, that it will make them feel better. But does it really? Does it really? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a trial wife for sure. I'm enjoying my time with my son, but he is little. He's barely learned how to walk, so he's still very, very little, and I am just trying to get him to the point where he is self-sufficient enough that I could put him in a nursery and socialize him with other kids. So it's definitely something that I've chosen because I like to work. And why not? If I had this opportunity, if I knew that around here there are no options for childcare, uh, if I knew that the quality of childcare was really, really bad, then of course I would think of different ways to deal with that. But being a tradwife is way more than just being a mum, or even like someone who takes care of the house. It's way more than that. Way more. The amount of work you do is it's a lot. It's genuinely a lot, and it's hard to get in. If anybody's into beauty, just don't kill me, because I'm gonna put eyeshadows now that I've basically finished everything. So I'm not very smart. I got carried away talking about tradwives. I would say it's a good experience. You definitely need to read something like that to understand how things like that work. But at the same time, you shouldn't glorify it. You shouldn't make it look prettier than it really is, because besides all the pretty pictures and dresses and foods and whatever you see on the internet, it's a lot of really, really hard work. It's a lot of really hard work, and it's a hard work that one has to commit to. That one has to realize that if you have that many kids, then you may not have time for like yourself if you actually do everything on your own. And if you're someone who's fine with that, if you're fine, if you like being of service, if your love language is acts of service and you really like helping people and just kids, you love kids, then yeah, go ahead. But if you don't, then you should reconsider. There we go. As someone who has been through the infant phase and birthing and everything, it's a lot of work. It's very exhausting. Not just being pregnant, not just giving birth, and not just even having a newborn. Everything, all of it, is way, way more, because you already have your daily life on top of this. Because apart from waking up every 2-3 hours to feed your baby, you also have to do house chores, you also have to cook, you also have to call people and, I don't know, go to birthdays and Christmases and other things. Some people have gardens. Some people have other kids to tend to. So it's an immense amount of work that sometimes you forget about, and you don't really try and put yourself in the shoes of others in that sense and try and figure out how much of work it actually will be. So a lot of people get disappointed when they realize it's harder than they thought. Yeah, it is. There is a part of it that's very there is a part of it that's very rewarding, especially once the kid is a little bit bigger. A good example would be, at the moment, I see the labor, fruits of my labor essentially, with my son starting to walk and just like things getting easier than when I had to carry him around all the time. And that is rewarding. It is rewarding, and for a moment you actually forget that the amount of sleep and money and energy and everything else you've sacrificed, and that's what matters. At least I see it that way. So For some people, it sounds horrifying, and that's fine. It is absolutely, they're absolutely welcome to disagree and not want kids and not want this type of lifestyle, and that's fine. That's their choice, and that's what I meant. It is important to respect people, even if they don't choose the same way you do. Because if we wouldn't give this choice, then we're all just going to be the same. We're just going to have the same rules, the same lives, and everything the same, and we're not really going to get inspired. We're not really going to grow if we won't be able to choose. It's going to be a never-ending nightmare hellscape of a life if all of that is taken away. So, yeah. I highly recommend reading them. I think there is a open question there, how you feel about books like this, because they are very, very controversial. So before judging the writing style or the character, because the character can be very unlikable, especially in Yesteryear. The main character is really unlikable most of the time. Like, she's a bitch. She's her POV is just like her disrespecting people all the time. Don't let that make you step away from the book itself and the actual story and the meaning of said story, because it's the same thing with many books. It's not about how unlikable the character is, it's about what you actually take from this book, what you learn, and what you keep with you from this book. And in this case, that's definitely something I'm taking. I'm taking the fact that I'm never becoming a tradwife, God forbid, and that it is important to help each other. It's important to be respectful to each other, to communicate, and most of all, to give people a choice. Not to glorify things like that. So, yeah. It's just a bit of a weird get ready with me video, I guess. Didn't do a book review, so if you thought it's going to be a book review, it's not. It's just me yapping about the morale of said story. So, yeah, I'm going to go now. And take some pictures. Hopefully, I'm going to make up another video soon enough. So yeah. Bye.